Alrighty. Hi everyone. Today I am super excited. We are joined by one of our clients, Cynthia, who's gonna talk to us today a little bit about her experience relocating from Los Angeles to Atlanta and purchasing a home that way. You know, a lot of people I know, we have a lot of clients who do that. A lot of people are very interested in learning more about the process. So I decided why not speak to one of our clients who went through this process. So Cynthia, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so first of all, what prompted you to make a move to the Atlanta area?
Well, my brother lives here and he has two kids. So I have a niece and a nephew that are 11 and 9 now. And I wanted to be around while they were growing up. So I decided to relocate to Georgia where they are.
Okay, awesome. And we've seen like a lot of people wanting to move closer to family. The cost of living, of course, is very attractive moving from Los Angeles to Atlanta. So
Almost definitely.
Yeah, because I remember when you first thought about it, you thought about renting initially.
Exactly, because I wasn't sure I could afford to buy. Because I know I couldn't in California.
Right. So like in that whole process like switched up really quickly. So that was that was interesting. So what was the process like for you purchasing a home? For most of it, you were still in Los Angeles during that time. So what was that process like for you?
Actually, to be honest, I relied on you for most of it. I am a first time home buyer. So I needed an agent. I knew that you, Kristin, were an agent. And so I touched bases with you, and you were the one who convinced me that I could buy because, like you said, I was going to rent at first. So, and the process in terms of finding a place, you checked out some places for me, and then I also went online and found some places, and you would get back to me about what was going on. And I remember most of the homes that I was trying to purchase that were already built were already under contract by the time I had told you I was interested. So
yes.
I remember all of those text messages and emails, under contract. And I was like, dang, when am I going to find something?
Yeah, like the time difference played a little bit into that, but like the market is just so quick. And so
Right.
you have to like really like, you saw like quickly, like, okay, this is moving pretty fast. Let me like, speed up things a little bit. And we did a lot through like FaceTime, and like you said, text and email. So yeah, so that was a very interesting process. What were some of your fears? Because you said you were a first-time home buyer, and you were purchasing, or you couldn't see the homes most of the times in person. What were some of your fears?
So my biggest fear was actually being able to afford the mortgage. At the time, I think I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to keep my current job, and I had a pretty good salary, so I wasn't sure. And I know I talked to my brother, and he was talking about he could find me a job where he worked in the medical field doing office work, and the pay was like way less than what I made in California. And I'm like, I can't afford to buy a home that way. Mm-hmm. But I just trusted that, things would work out. I was able to keep my job, and now I'm 100% remote, and I was able to afford the mortgage and all of the other stuff that comes with it. I remember saying several times to certain people, yeah, I got to get my head wrapped around my mortgage and all the bills that come with the utilities that I have hooked up. So,
right.
And honestly, by the grace of God, I was able to afford all of that.
That is awesome. So yeah, so a little jumping there, fear is natural, especially, this is your first time. This is a humongous purchase. So
exactly.
like fear is absolutely going to be a part of that. So thank you for sharing that. So you ended up going with a new construction home. I feel like so much much part of the process. I'm just like, we did.
Oh no, yeah, it's a we thing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I don't. It's not that I don't think. I know I couldn't have done this by myself. I totally know that. You were such a big help and such a big advocate in the process that I wouldn't have known what I was doing. I don't even really think I did anything except gather the paperwork, the paperwork that I needed to gather for to qualify for the loan. I mean, because you fought for me when things were getting weird. I mean, I decided to go new construction because one of the things that I didn't mention in my fears was that I didn't want to buy a house that I was going to have to work on while I was living there.
Mm-hmm.
I knew coming from California, I needed to just move in, and like as soon as I moved in, I needed to start working again.
Right.
So I had a vacation, and that was the time I moved, was during my vacation. And then I knew as soon as I got here to Georgia, I was gonna have to start work. And I didn't have time to try and figure out, what needed to be fixed on a house. So I decided to go with a house that was newly constructed. So it was pretty much move-in ready.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned something that I wanted to go back on, because a lot of people have a misconception about that. So a lot of people feel that they don't need a real estate agent if they buy a new construction home.
Oh, yes. Believe me, you do. I actually talked to some of my neighbors who didn't use a real estate agent, and they got more of a runaround than I did. I mean, the fact that you stood up for me in a lot of the transactions that were going on, because it was kind of really weird. The sales agent wouldn't tell us what the holdup was on the construction, or what was going on. It was just a bunch of, oh, your date's been pushed, your date's been pushed, your date's been pushed.
Which happens a lot with new construction, and the way their contracts are. Like, they don't really have to give you a whole lot of explanation or whatever, because it's kind of built in their contract where this is the proposed closing date, but your closing, it got pushed like 2 months out. I think
yes, it was like 2 months. But my initial closing date was December 14th, and that's when I arrived in Georgia. But I had found out, I think a couple of months before, that the closing date was going to be pushed, and initially it was pushed to January. And then after I got here, the final closing date was in February, the end of February, like the week before the end of February was when I closed. So the fact that you were fighting for me gave me enough push to send an email to the company because the phase that my construction was in, I wasn't able to pick any finishes on the house. Right. And I wanted to have hardwood floors on the first floor. I wasn't too concerned about the second floor. I actually wanted carpet on the second floor because it's kind of cold.
Right.
But the first floor, because that's where most of the traffic is and people would be walking around with shoes on, I wanted hardwood floors. And so I literally sent an email. I had my paperwork, and I got all my paperwork together, and I found that, because my house was initially under contract for someone else, and it had a different close date. And so I included that information, and then some other stuff, and about how often the close date had been changed. And then my final comment was, all of this on a house that I did not get to pick any finishes on.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, you didn't? Well, what do you want? And so
yeah, it was kind of like, oh, okay, she's big mad. We're gonna try to make her happy. Her agent's yelling at us. She's yelling at us.
The other issue with my purchase too was right before I left California, I was in a car accident. Actually, not right before, it was months before. Mm-hmm. My car was totaled in September. And so from September until December, when I moved, I had to rent a car to go to work. And then I had to rent a car once I got here because I couldn't purchase until after I closed. And so that was another thing that you helped with explaining to the sales agents, is like, hey, she can't even get a car. She has no transportation because you guys keep holding up the closing on her house. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, don't think that, I mean, yes, you could probably do it by yourself. I've done a lot of things by myself. I wouldn't
Right.
do this by myself.
I think like people, it's the internet age, there's information readily available, but I mean,
Right.
it's not easy.
It's not an easy process, and there's too many things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we don't know, and I was positive I didn't know anything about this. So,
You're like, I had no illusions that I could do this by myself.
I had no illusions, and I wasn't trying to learn. This was not something. This was not part of my forte. And I've tackled some hard things in my life, but I was not going to do this one by myself.
Hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay, so thank you for sharing a little bit about your process. I will say this, like I use you kind of as a cautionary tale to a lot of people about the car business, because a lot of people don't know. They wreck their cars. They're like, okay, I'll just go buy a new car. I was like, no, you cannot. Like, talk to your lender. I was like, for the most part, unless you're paying cash, maybe. Like, but don't do it. Just wait. And when you finish with the process, your credit get a little boost. Like, you'll be good. Like, don't do it. Wait.
I didn't buy anything, not even I went to search for my furniture for my bedroom, and with delivery and everything, it was going to be over $2,000. And they were like, well, do you want to pay for it now? I was like, no, my house is not closed. I'm like, can I put this on layaway? Can I pay after? Just can you hold it? And they held it for me because I was like, I'm not trying to have my loan fall through for a bedroom set.
Man, I heard a story from another agent. None of my clients, fortunately, because I tell everybody up front, don't you buy anything. Pay your bills, don't buy anything. Where a person like literally bought all of the furnishings for their house on their credit cards, and then found out, because they run your credit again right before closing, that they no longer qualify for their loan. So they had all this furniture and no house. So I was like, don't do it. I know it's tempting. I know you want to just be able to get everything together and just move in, but just don't do it. Talk to your lender. That's my thing. Talk to your lender. Yeah. They'll tell you what to do.
I mean, the somewhat reverse happened to me in qualification for my loan. I disqualified for the initial loan they gave me. And because, my job was generous and they gave me a raise and they also gave me a bonus before everything closed. And then the mortgage loan officer came back to me and he was like, yeah, the original loan, you don't qualify for it anymore, and so we have to give you this one. And initially I was not upset, but I was kind of discouraged because the interest rate was higher. But I was able to refinance a year later, so I got the interest rate down.
So that's the good thing. Like for most of my people who bought, like when you did, like with I think 2019, they were able to refinance like last year because like interest rates like were super low. Yeah. So that was awesome. So just like a little personally, what do you love about living in Atlanta?
I have to be honest with you. The one thing I love that I did not love in California is the rain. I remember every time it rained in California, one of the things that I would say is, you don't need to be out in the rain. You really need to be in the house with your feet kicked up in front of a fireplace. And I think the first time it rained out here, I was like, hey, wait, I have a fireplace. I can turn it on.
Yes.
And that's what I did.
I know, it's so funny to me. People still talk about me because I've lived now a total of counting college, like almost 8-9 years in Atlanta. And every time I'm like out and about and I'm trying to like, oh my God, the trees are so beautiful. Oh my God, it's so green. They're like, girl, it's trees. But I was like, you don't understand. Yeah. Like, it's so like lush and
different than in California because it's so sparse in terms of greenery and
drive in nature.
And then the whole experiencing seasons. Now I'm kind of glad we don't get snow, but it has like we've had flurries
Mm-hmm.
We had some
It's
last
cute
year.
snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the going through the seasons and not being hot all of the time and not being cold all of the time and seeing the leaves change, and it's so beautiful out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right now I love fall, and I'm just like loving all the colors on the trees right now. So yeah, like that never gets old for me. I miss Mexican food. Like I've
Oh,
been able to find some that,
you and I would have to go out because I found some good Mexican food places out here. I don't understand why people think that Georgia does not have good Mexican food. It
it
has
is.
Mexican
We
food.
have to look for it. You got to put like an APB out, tell people you're looking for it, and people will tell you where to go. Like
I've been to some pretty good places out here, and I've looked for, like, there's this dessert that I really like called the sopapilla, and I'll go to
Mm.
those restaurants that make those. And then I just found one in Decatur that makes the best chips and salsa, and I'm like, you guys gonna have to sell me that.
So that is awesome. Thank you again, Cynthia, so much for joining us and sharing a little bit about your experience, working with me, and then just the whole relocating and new construction. Appreciate it so much. Any final words before we sign off?
um, what final words do I have? I think I think working with an agent is a very important thing. There's a lot of ins and outs that we need help with as home buyers. And I honestly, in terms of, even if you're buying a already constructed home that is not a new construction, I think you should still work with a partner, because the real estate agent Kristin was my partner, and I would say she was the alpha partner and I was the beta partner. And it was for me, it was a smooth process. I mean, honestly, I don't have a lot of complaints about what happened. Everything happened so fast. It was a little mind-boggling how fast everything went. Even with the pushing of my dates, it all worked out like it was supposed to. So I really encourage everyone out there, if you're interested in buying a home, work with an agent.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as an agent, I support that message. Thank you so much. And again, we have our contact information here. Even if you're not ready yet, but you're thinking 2022 is the year, give us a call and we'll talk about it. Thank you again,
All
Cynthia.
right. Thank you. Talk to you later.